Hi, it's Kasia from Familiarity. This is a VR to Lisa from Mindful Tarot and her inspirational quotes, decks that bust us open. I thought about it for a while, and to me, decks that bust me open and that really, first of all, maybe changed my approach to tarot, widened and broadened my understanding of the cards, really moved me emotionally, surprised me in the way that just changed something in my understanding of tarot and tarot decks. These are the decks that I chose. It's quite a few of them actually, and that I felt that have a very interesting influence on me and on my tarot journey. So without further ado, let's start. So definitely Dark Goddess Tarot has to be one of the top of those decks. The Dark Goddess Tarot, it's just, I don't know, another level for me, how it works for me and how accurate it is for me, and how I can really, it just always surprises me in such a way that I'm like moved, sometimes moved to tears, sometimes moved to happiness and joy. It just always shows me like an amazing perspective on things. And I do work a lot with the little booklet and also with the book. Then I do my own research as well, but it's a perfect starting point. So Dark Goddess Tarot, it's just amazing for me. Definitely one of those decks that, yeah, changed how I see tarot. I also was really touched by the Wild Unknown Tarot. This one I have gotten like many years ago, I think when it came first out. It's the first edition, and I love the nature-based themes and no humans in the deck. That was something new, and also the coloring of the deck and the artwork, very evocative, very, yeah, these lines, like they were busting me open. The busting here was with my approach to how I read tarot, and paying attention to color, to lines, to harmony. I think the Wild Unknown deck in some ways helped me to move on to the Marseille type decks and onto reading pips. It is quite pippish itself, and just the use of color, the shapes that the elements create, the lines. It's very much one of the decks that really made a difference in my tarot life. AnnaK Tarot, there are a few cards that I find limiting, like for example Four of Swords, where on the picture you just see a sick person, and like to me Four of Swords doesn't necessarily mean that you are sick. You might need time out, you might need to rest, but I'm always a little bit wary of decks that you can scare your client with. So when you read with AnnaK and you pull Four of Swords, of course you can ask the client, which person do you associate yourself with right now? The one that can give or the one that has to receive? You need to rest, or you can look after someone? Can you look after your own needs, and so on? But I noticed that a lot of clients just go, oh, am I going to get sick? Like, you have to educate people a lot that tarot is not really such a big prediction tool as much as the like evolutionary tool. So the Queen of Swords, gorgeous. But in any case, I find AnnaK Tarot for myself, like I have the bittersweet relationship with it. I didn't want to read with it, but whenever I did read with it, it was just always very insightful and to the point. and also very honest. Like sometimes maybe I didn't like it because it was way too honest. So this deck, it does play a big part in my personal tarot journey, and I really like it. I enjoy it. I cut off the black borders and I edged it black, so it looks like new now. And this deck, I like it and I enjoy it. I still go back to it when I need a honest assessment. And another deck that really, I don't know, kind of, I love it, and I find it still so elusive and very watery and going so much in depth that your subconscious is really engaged and a lot of information comes out, is the Ceccoli Tarot. Again, like beautiful artwork. Not very easy maybe to read if you just look at, you know, like Rider-Waite-Smith, or you want to find those typical meanings of the cards, but a great deck to just use intuitively and see what the images awaken in you emotionally. It's a great deck for shadow work, for inner child work, for fears and anxiety, for creative approach to life, and how can you emotionally embrace change. It's very beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's really quite amazingly spot on and honest as well. And it gets me personally on some deep level, and often uncomfortable level. So Ceccoli Tarot deck, really cool. And Tarot of the She, again, I have this my little friend who I always start the readings with her. I did chop it recently, even though I thought I will never chop the borders of this one, but I actually love it. I edged it black as well. You did lose tiny little bit of the edges here, but the whole sigil is actually visible. And this deck, yeah, again, it's a totally different level. It's a little bit similar to the Ceccoli and the Dark Goddess Tarot decks. I feel connected to this deck a lot. It gives me this one actually gives me very supportive readings, and it also gives me readings that are magical, and I feel like I can really work with these energies. It's not something, and this is also very like evolutionary deck, and yeah, I keep learning still a lot of it and how to approach it. I don't use it to read for clients, I just use it for myself. I use it every day for the last few months. It's been a friend of mine, and it does open in me another level of understanding, and also the intuition of all the different worlds that exist around us, and I truly believe they do. I believe in simultaneously existing realities and parallel universes, and I think the she beings are around, and as much as I don't really see them ever or anything, I think this deck helps me to just meet this level to myself that may be very close to the she understanding of the world. So the Tarot of the She. And then another deck. Well, I had this really also with Marseille decks when I watched Tarology, and I learned a lot about the way to read Marseille decks. That totally changed me, and my way of reading cards changed. My way of seeing tarot, my way of using tarot changed. My intuition totally widened and broadened, and definitely Tarot de Marseille made a stamp on my tarot journey and did bust me open, and maybe more, not so much emotionally, but more mentally, intellectually, and intuitively for sure. So this one was Jeanne Noble deck. Mary L, yes, Mary L as well. I did chop the and the borders, and then I wrote down what type of card is it. I have to say this deck is still like I'm a baby. Oh, it's amazing. I'm a baby with this deck. I don't really know it that well yet. I do really appreciate the book and the depth to which Mary White went creating this deck. I watched Cassandra's video on it, and I was also a little bit scared of the images. They weren't very comfortable to me, but I did work with Marielle a lot, but it's still not enough. I'm like, I don't know, but this deck was totally different, and the only deck that I really love using the book with, and also, I don't know, it's still, yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable deck for many reasons, but I can't really, oh, this is one of my favorite Seven of Wands, amazing. So yeah, some cards I know really well and I got their meanings experientially, and some cards are still quite, I don't get them. So I need to get back to Mary L, but it did bust me open in this kind of shadowy, I think darkish way. Another few decks left. One is the, I just ran quickly, one is the Gill Tarot. I didn't connect with it straight away, but every time I read with it, I get really amazing, honest, spot-on readings, and it does change the way I look at it now, and also does change the way I understand myself spiritually, because this deck is really beautiful for spiritual readings. I had amazing calming readings with this one. So the Gill Tarot, it's still on the list to be more known. And the other one I really enjoyed was the Kitty Kahane deck. This one busts me open more with its humor, but also with its honesty and beauty, and I enjoy the colors and just the playfulness of it. So that's at a different busting. It busts me open more to treat myself a little bit lighter and to use tarot also this playful, more relaxed way, but not silly and shallow, just a little bit more yeah, just lighter, and do not take myself so seriously as a tarot reader, you know. And it's also not always about, you know, analyzing and finding more about yourself and blah blah blah. So Kitty Kahane, it always reminds me of being gentle with myself and, you know, laughing with myself a little bit, like a coyote medicine. And the last one is the Nigel Jackson Tarot. This deck also, I don't know, when it came, I just felt at home with it. So in a way, it, I don't know, the colors and the artwork opens up a very gentle, wise space in me, and I feel so connected to this deck. It's funny. And I use it a lot. I use it in the readings for clients. I use it actually straight away in the readings. It gives me very, I don't know, I can read it. It's just one of those decks that comes and you know that it's kind of yours. So Nigel Jackson Tarot, really beautiful and bust me open. Feels like family straight away. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Thanks, Lisa.